your discussion section, the limitations is what was causing problems, or what what did the research say were things that were limiting the effectiveness of the study? What things could have been factors that limited the amount of people for the participation of the study? What variables that they didn't count on did they say or indicate that, again, these are limitations to the study. We couldn't get a full picture because of why. I think with tinnitus, well, the whole entire point of the study is the fact of the cultural stigma, Black men not seeking out mental health services, not enough therapists of minority therapists, and not enough places in the areas, all the things. What are the limited, but that's a cultural limitation, or some of the outside factors possibly, but also what were the factors that limited their actual research from maybe that hypothesis being proven? What were like when we did the study of whether cell phones, like having cell phones or not having cell phones in class, if it helped some people's grades, one of the limitations that we had to write was like, well, there's the class that didn't have cell phones, but then they had their computers up and they were playing games and watching movies and stuff on their laptops. So then that was kind of like, that was a limitation to the study because we didn't think to just say technology. Does that make sense? What are the things that could have also affected the study? The needs for further research. What's the stuff that your articles indicated were the things that, now that we did this, we found this out, so we need to study more in this area now. We need to have more research done in these kind of populated areas, or we need to do more. The needs for further research of, goodness gracious, I think Clara, like your needs for further research should probably be pretty large, because the fact that, well, there needs, again, let your research kind of talk about this, but like needs for further research on like whether this is a disorder and should be in the DSM. Needs for further research about the cultural impacts. If you remember back to Gen Psych or Abnormal Psych, there's 4 criteria that have like the basis basically of a disorder. You have medical, statistical, cultural, and social, or moral and social, sorry. So moral, well, so there's a lot of things that have been entered into the DSM and taken out of the DSM because of morality changes of the culture. One being pornography. Well, because culture has like, oh, it's not that big of a deal, everyone does it, that's not really a disorder, it's just a moral thing. So needs for further research about the effects regardless of moral, So a lot of, does that make sense for that needs for further research? Okay. And JP, yeah, I got comments from all of my actual practitioners, people who are in this field, and when you told them you couldn't find an EMDR study for PTSD, they all had the comment, he didn't look very hard. Considering that is currently the #1 mode of treatment for PTSD. And so the needs for further research, well, now there may have been a lot of research, maybe it was all paid, like you couldn't find it for free or whatever. But more accessible research. Now a lot of research is being published in books because of here's the way to do it. So yeah, that needs to be an aspect within your research because of alternatives. Because in the actual practice of outside of mental health counselors that are literally only taught CBT, no one would use CBT for PTSD at all. So that's something to definitely look into within your needs for further research. And that would also be because marriage and family therapists are the most trauma trained. That's why for VAs, predominantly they will only hire MFTs at most VA hospitals. Now, psychiatrists and clinical psychologists, some are still, but at like on basis, but at VA hospitals, most are hiring, like I know the ones in Kansas, the ones in Texas, California, and I believe Colorado, don't quote me on the Colorado one, but those are the ones I'm absolutely positive, like they will only hire. Now, they also have a psychiatrist on staff. They will have a clinical psychologist for testing, like the very psychological tests and stuff. But as far as like treatment of doing group therapies and stuff like that, they will solidly only because the other practitioners are not trauma trained. So that's also a like CBT is going to be mental health counselors that are not, they're not trauma trained. So, and part of that is just, it's an unfortunate part of CBT is just one of those that there's just a lot of, because it's so much more objective, there's a lot of research out there, but yeah. So that would be good stuff to refer to in needs for further research. Yeah. In bold. Yep. Now, just keep in mind, you're not going to put that title into your table of contents. And just every year, I always have this, do not put the table of contents or the cover page on the table of contents. So like in your table of contents, every year I get someone who puts a cover page and or the table of contents in the table of contents. Like they'll say cover page, page 1, page 2, abstract. Yeah. Yeah. And actually, speaking of which, she did not put that. Oh, she did put it in the right order. Okay. It is cover page, abstract, and then table of contents, but make sure you're not putting the table of contents within the table of contents. Okay. And I would encourage you guys to do like a overall sweep of your, like go to the find button and check for butts, check for likes, check for justs, check for you, check for one. Like one is a number, not an individual. So there's not one would need to do this, one should do this. It's an individual needs to do this, a participant did this. Okay, so check for, like is okay as long as it, but similar to is a way better way to phrase that. But just make sure that if I could say that statement in a Valley Girl, like when this happened, if I could say it like when it, if I can read it like a Valley Girl, that's incorrect. But if I would say, participants did things that were very, that no, very should not be in there as well. Like swimming and running and jumping, but I could still say the participants did things such as, like is just to try to get that out of your written vocabulary. Okay. Sometimes it is fine, but just see if similar to, such as, we shouldn't have a lot of, there shouldn't be varies because that's the creative writing side of things. Okay.
And for our grade for post-it is it just out of 65 or?
Yeah, I averaged it, all of yours, like averaged all of the scores and gave you a score out of 60. Because I never wanted someone to like, because that would be like 360 points. And I never wanted someone to like fail based off of someone else, like an evaluator stuff. I just do the average. But you'll also get a grade from me on the poster. So it's going to be almost double. Class. Oh, hey, would you guys like to know what capstone is going to be? That would be helpful. Is JP still on? Okay, good.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Oh, JP, yeah, you're gone. You're done. You've already done capstone, so you don't need to hear this.
Yeah? What?
I know. You've already paid your dues. So capstone, one of the things, the main projects we will do throughout the course, I mean, we'll be doing a major case study, but the day-to-day, or more so week to week, we'll be doing, you pick a book. You will pick a book that does have something to do with psychology. It could be psychology, like I've had psychology and like faith. So like some people have picked a like a Christian book that deals with like psychological things. Yes.
There's a new book that came out that I bought. I can't remember the name, but it's like having to do with like.
So like Jenny Allen's book, Getting Out of Your Head, that would be a very good, and it's actually very, she's very research based. There's a lot of research in it, and that is a phenomenal book. I think that would be very helpful. So that would be a perfect example. Books like anything that you're interested in. Ian did like a psychology and law kind of a book where he had case studies of like all of like people who did like the insane plea, like insanity plea. I've had people do something like within culture, how like almost social psychology, anything, anything you're interested in. If you want to do another, like a book on PTSD, if you want to do a book on ODD, if you want to do a book about like a type of disorder, a type of like how cultural's impact on mental health. Again, I have a lot of books in my office. Whenever I find my keys, if I ever find my keys, or Tania has keys, she can let you in my office. You are more than welcome to peruse my bookshelf for ideas. So more than welcome to do that. Just have her let you in my office and you guys can check out all of the books. Yeah, so if there's any book that you're like, oh, I really have been, or I have mentioned in classes, or something you've been really interested in, it just needs to be some kind of either your future career oriented, or some kind of psychology based type, psychological based book. Okay. So if you over break start thinking about them, if you want more ideas, or hey, here are 3 books that I've been looking at, which one do you think would be best, or which would be good? So because it does need to be like a legitimate book. If it's like 100 pages, that's not going to qualify. Okay. But I also wouldn't choose a book that has like 400 pages either. So, I mean, that's rough. But I have books about this generation, the impact of technology and stuff. It's so, but again, if you want to do some research and find a book of a topic that you're interested in, please feel free, email me if you're like, hey, these are, which ones do you think would be best suited for this? Okay. Then I'll see you in potentially other classes, not well. Nope. Yeah, you'll be gone anyway, so but hopefully you'll be back so we can come to breakfast. But if not, I will see you in spring. Oh, it won't be spring, I'll see you spring semester.
I'll like change my spring semester classes.